carriers, one of the same place.
Literally from that.
I saw her driving on Lynn Boulevard yesterday.
Yeah, she said that you tried racing her or something.
I didn't try.
Well, you were like speeding up.
I didn't try it. Fucking gap. Oh my gosh. I was 8 miles away within 4 seconds. Shut up, Chris.
No,
I was in the shitter too, so I really ate up the cake.
really. You know those like so it's not
Okay.
Yeah, DK can win the in the Sunday.
it wasn't even one, but it was a form of cradle, but I was like,
There's a couple of short assignments here on a new topic. This is like interest on.
Yeah, Paige and I saw them. I don't know what girl she was with, but they immediately started laughing.
Yeah.
Because like, oh my god, we're driving a car. And I just got out of there.
Are you guys,
I would have ran away.
are you guys ready?
Nope.
Get ready. You guys, if you're not,
Hold up.
jackets and sweatshirts you have to take off.
I spilled all over my uniform shirt and I'm wearing this till it dries.
Take it off.
This verdict's a witness. I literally wore this out of her room and she was okay with it.
Alright, Ms. Bird.
Why
I
would
was
you?
carrying a whole other coat too.
Ms. Bird allows you to wear sweatshirts and you know.
I was sleeping first hour. I drooled right on my shirt.
Dude, I spilled chocolate milk on it. Yeah, I spilled instant latte.
What's that? Yeah. You can just have the.
Does he do what?
You can just have your sweater on your chest, Nolan.
Yeah, my grandma has it, but she
Nolan.
never leaks out like that.
No, you sleep out before you take the other like.
No, yes, it's bad.
You can have your sweater on your chest. Just.
What?
You can just wear your sweater like a blanket on your chest.
Okay.
You know those like.
Lose the jacket.
Yeah, I used to eat them all.
Eli, you too.
What? Are you guys talking about drugs over there like that? What's up?
You take off the sweater, Nolan.
It's fine.
You want the tensions, you guys?
No, I just want to be
The
warm.
jacket, the sweater.
Jesus Christ.
Don't you have one on?
Yeah.
I do. I'm not in uniform.
Someone was on your ass about your sweatshirt. You'd be pretty pissed off.
Not really.
Wait, what are we doing today? Simple interest? Alright,
Yeah,
good.
shave my beard, we can't see my face.
I own some of your uniform
Look at how
sweaters.
silly I look.
You'll be fine.
Yes, let's go!
Looks like I lactated.
What assignments are we going over today?
A simple interest in compound interest.
This is until I shot up 2 places in the market watch.
Okay, nice.
So we're so am I gonna be able to come in after school and do like these ones then with you?
I guess so. Do you have late passes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just buttloaded everything in the oil. I saw board rates.
So I need to get that's what I needed to come in yesterday for, but
Okay. I didn't realize you were coming later.
No, we should have communicated better.
I know. Let's see Minecraft mobile really quick.
You might want to pay attention.
Oh, I'm ready. Guys, wait, hold up.
Okay, you guys, we're gonna go over this. Sit, guys. Sit, please. Pay attention.
Is this a simple one?
Yeah, we're gonna go over both, but I'll go over compound again next class. But just in case, I don't think they're long, so you should be able to plow through them.
Wait, so are we doing the compound one today or no?
Yeah, I'll go over that too. But if you don't get through it, that's okay. You'll have more time next class. Okay, so this is interest. So like if you loan somebody money and you want to make interest, or if you we're going
Already started to get hard.
bring a sweatshirt.
Did you say bring a sweatshirt?
Yeah. A uniform sweatshirt. There's uniform sweatshirts.
Don't worry, I'm made of money.
Okay, you realize it's like $45 when we have, really, I just like.
I totaled an $8,000 car.
They're not.
8 months ago.
They're not $45, are they? The fleeces?
Like the insurance company.
They were like all half price when they sold out the spirit shop.
Hey, just put your AirPods back in your backpack, sweetheart.
So here's the formula basically. The amount that you have after a certain amount of time, I'll just call that A, is going to be equal to the principal amount that you invested or that you took out as a loan, plus your interest. So this could work either for money that you're making, if you're making interest, or money that you owe. It kind of works the same. So the amount is pretty basic. This is called simple interest. And it's pretty straightforward. The amount that you owe is based off of your principal plus your interest. The formula for your interest is kind of like PRT. So it's based on how much you took out on the loan. So it's based on your principal times the rate and times. So the rate will be for a year or a month, usually a year. And then T represents how many of those time intervals, how many years or how many months, whatever the rate is for, you know, like this percentage per year or this percentage per month, whatever that rate is scaled for time-wise, T has to be measured in those units of time. So let's say you had an annual rate and you borrowed money for 6 months. That would be half a year. So if you had a yearly rate, you would put in 0.5 for your number of years if it was 6 months. So that's probably the only bit of confusion that you might have. Otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. So let's say you earn 5% interest every year. So let's say you invest or borrow, $1,000. Every year, you would owe 5% of that principal. So the rate should go in as a decimal. So 5% would be 0.05.
That's like $5.
Yeah. Well, 5% of 100 is $5, right?
Yeah.
So this is 1,000. So you'd get 50. Every year. So if you borrowed it for 1 year, you would owe 50. If you borrowed it for 2 years, you'd owe 100 in interest. And if you borrowed it for 3 years, you owe 150. It's always the same percentage of your original principal. And that's why they call it simple. This formula will give you the amount of interest, but remember the total amount is your interest plus the principal. So it's not just.
So is it 2 mean like for 2 months technically?
Like 2 years, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And this would be per year. So the years kind of cancel and you just get dollars.
Okay, but what if it's like only months, not year?
Does it give you a rate as an annual rate or a
Yeah.
monthly rate? So put in the years as a fraction of the, put in the months as a fraction of the year. So if they said 3 months, that would be a quarter of a year.
So it's 7 months, so just be,
7/12 would
how
be
would
the,
I multiply that?
just 7 over 12.
Take your yearly rate and divide it by 12 and then multiply it by 7.
Tyler's the big smart.
That also works. If you put your over 12 here, or if you put it here, it works out the same.
Tyler George.
Explain that again.
So you take your yearly rate that you got, divide it by 12 to get your monthly rate, and then multiply it by 7 to get your overall.
Yeah, that works. So what are your numbers?
Margot borrows 2,000, agreeing to pay it back with 3% annual interest after 7 months.
30%?
3%.
3? So that's 0.03. And you said for 7 months?
7 months. And I got 35, but I don't know if it's.
Okay,
Can't
so-
we do 2,000 times 3% and then do times
Then-
7 divided by 12?
Yeah, you could do that. You could say your interest is your principal,
I did
Times-
2000.03
the annual rate,
and then divided
times
it
the
by
number
12.
of years. That would work. Or like Tyler was saying, you could take your 2,000, divide it by the monthly rate, which is the annual rate divided by 12 times the number of months. It's still, 2,000 times 0.03 times 7 divided by 12, either way you think of it.
I got 35.
I'd have to use my calculator, but
Wait, are we doing like our first round?
do you have a question, Nolan?
Are you putting an assignment up with this?
What are your
Yeah, there
numbers?
should be an assignment under
Um,
interest.
What are my numbers? 2,000.
Okay.
He borrows 2,000.
Yeah, 35
3%
interest.
annual, and then 7 months.
So that's 35 interest,
35. Okay.
but,
That's what I
but the
got.
total amount would be the original 2,000 plus the 35.
Plus 35.
So it depends on what they're asking. Are they asking for the interest or are they asking for what you
How
owe?
much interest we should pay?
35, yeah.
Wait, hold on. So like, my numbers are like 400
Okay.
and they were.
That's your principal?
Interest is your month.
Was that annual interest?
Yes,
8% you said?
yes,
So 0.08. And how many months?
8 months.
8 months. So you can take 8/12 as your number of years, because this rate is for years. Or you could divide the 0.08 by 12 and get monthly rate. It doesn't matter which way you do it. It's just up to
So
you.
I would take,
400
so I would take
Times-
400 times 0.8, 0.08, and then
times 8,
times.
all divided by 12, yeah. If they ask for the interest, that will be the amount. If they ask for the total amount, add the interest to your principal, which was 400.
I'll buy it, and I'll make a dirt track car.
I got like 21.3.
21.3, so you'll cut it at cents, so 21.33.
Is the training in it? Is the transmission?
Okay, yeah, I got that.
Good.
Thank you.
Yep. And that's pretty much simple interest. So the only trick here is making sure that if your rate is annual, that your time is annual. Quiet, please. Shh.
Every couple are in there.
And if your,
No one.
so I just make sure that your rate and your time units are the same. So if it's this percentage per year, make sure time is years, or convert the rate to months, one or the other.
It was all sticky. You never want to. That's why I got stuck, because I'm not exploded on it. I jammed it in.
So if you do go to the simple interest, should be pretty short. 8 questions.
So you were driving in 2019?
So hopefully that's not too bad.
Yes, well, Sophia didn't have the 2011 or 2015.
Yeah,
Do you have scissors?
2019.
they're over in that brown box to the left of the books on the middle shelf.
Big brain boy.
That's
8 years.
Yeah, but the one is in parking lot.
Yeah,
Well, I wonder, what is your mom trading? What's your mom trade in for her?
And you'll see that some of,
Explain number 2.
yeah, some of these you'll see have videos. Okay, retiree invest 4,000. That's mine. Do you want your numbers?
Yeah, that's fine. I can just tell you them.
Okay, go ahead and read it to me and I'll write things down.
Okay. A retiree invests 3,000 in a savings plan that pays 4% per year. What will the account balance be at the end of the first year?
So 1 year, right?
Yes.
All right, so the interest will be
Wouldn't it be 120 plus 2,000?
120. How are you getting 120? Oh, is that your numbers?
It's like
No, I didn't.
backseat of my car.
But
Oh,
don't you
maybe,
just do
maybe. I don't know what
3,000
point.
times 4% times 1.
Yeah.
There's no bucket.
3,000 times the 0.04 per year.
And then do you just add the 3,000 and 120? Or just keep the 120?
You'll get the 120. Is that what it comes out to be?
Yeah.
Okay, so if that comes out to be 120, that's your interest. The amount that you owe is the principal plus the interest. So now you owe 3,120, or you make.
So you just add what you get for the interest to the,
Yeah, when they say amount, they want you to add back into the principal.
okay.
Sounds good. Cutting it.
One of the highlights of this
Easy?
Yeah,
Good,
Terry told Brad
making sense.
good, good.
that they were Oh, Terry.
Number 3 is tripping.
Is it?
At the end of practice, when he was talking about like when we were all hitting BP, and like we were all.
All right, that one you got to set up an equation. So the simple interest owed is 320. So you got to figure out the principal.
Unless you're approved. When we were taking, when people were headed.
So interest equals principal times rate times time, right?
And yeah, we were sitting there.
Ethan?
Full conversation.
Just like this whole, you never even.
So that's how you love it?
Yeah, so what's your interest? How much do you owe?
My interest is 5%. Or no, wait, if you said
What are the amount of interest?
my interest is 660.
Okay. You don't know the principal. That's what you're trying to find. What's the rate
5%.
per year? And how many years?
8.
All right, so you will just solve for P. So the years cancel here. You have P times 0.05 times 8. So if you just divide by that on both sides of that, yep. And those cancel here.
My percent was 5.5%.
Oh, 5 point, so you put a little extra 5 here. Because percent is just 2 decimal shifts when you want to shift the decimals, so.
So if mine is, it's not just 1 year, it's 3 years.
Okay,
So, and it's 720 is borrowed at 3.8%.
so you have the principal, and you said 3.8%?
Yes.
I don't know. I think you're just doing it faster. Is it for these numbers? 82.0?
Oh, 8.
Oh, 8? Point?
Yeah, 08.
Oh, 82.08, okay. I would have to check. I don't know. You're probably right.
I don't know if I put the
Yeah, 82.08. That's the interest. The amount would be added back onto the 720.
82.08, is that the answer then?
If they're asking for interest, it is.
It says for the simple interest.
They want the simple interest? Then yeah, that's 82.08. If they ask for the amount of the account or
You
whatever,
just add it to the,
720.
I get pretty tired, but I can catch my breath, but
I just watched.
I can go into the bathroom and look at my neck and then mirror and see my pulse. Like my cardio is just bad. Because you're not really working out of your work, you're just sitting there. Feeling food.
Did you see my kill?
Yeah. Put it in the shower. And that's how you feel.
How do you do it before?
What's the question?
Suppose you have.
Was that out like on your guys' record?
Yeah, it was on.
Like before you turn on the phone?
Suppose you have 1350 in your account. So I think that's the final amount at the end of a certain period of time. You invested 1,200,
Right off the 26.
and which means the interest would be 150, right? That's how much you gained from your original principal. So the interest is the principal times the rate times the time. You know that your interest is 150. Your principal was 1,200. The rate was 5.65%, so move the decimal left 2 spots. And they want to know how many years it was, so you want to find the time. So you're just going to divide 150 by these two numbers, and that should give you the time. Does that make any sense? So just set up the equation, plug in what you know. There should be one unknown, and then solve for that. Yep.
This one?
That's also number 4?
Yeah.
Okay, so they tell you that the account now has 1,500. So this is the amount equals principal plus interest. So you have 1,500. You initially invested 1,400.
Yep.
So your interest was 100, right?
Yep.
So the interest formula is the principal times the rate times the time. So you know the interest is 100. The principal was 1,400. The
rate is 3.16.
So move the decimal left 2
And then
spots.
it's asking how long in years was your money invested?
So you got to find the T.
Yep.
So you just divide 100 by those two numbers. And that should be your time in years.
Can you plug them in? Because I didn't bring my calculator over here.
Sure. It is on the screen. When you do divide, when there's two things on the bottom, make sure you do slash and then slash again, because that's how you do it when it's on the bottom. So approximately 2.26 years. Round to the nearest hundredth. So yeah, that'd be.
I could not copy because we're like, you just follow this cornfield, there's the road.
Okay.
So it's like
Yep.
0 cents whatsoever.
I'll work with your numbers in a second.
What was the equivalent for this one again?
Okay, so you have your amount is equal to your principal plus your interest. Your amount was $1,350, and you invested $1,200, which means your interest was $150. So if you use this formula, you would have $150 is your interest equals your principal, which was $1,200. Your rate was 0.0565, and then the time is here. So your time would be 150 divided by 1,200 divided by 0.0565. Maybe. Did you type 5.65?
I typed in 5.65 and then I put the percent mark.
Okay, yeah, so they want to round to the nearest hundred, so 2.21. Guys, that's annoying. Would you shut that off?
No, it isn't. Its tail would be down.
Okay, thank you.
There you go.
Tail would be all down.
What is that?
Yeah.
A rattlesnake
I
or
also
something?
need help on 6 and 8 and then I'm done.
Okay,
I need the second.
okay, so you invested 1,000. Okay, so you have the interest, right?
Yeah.
So the future value is just your initial amount plus the 200.
So 10,000 plus 200.
Yeah,
Oh, I'd love to beat the shit out of my dad.
10, yeah.
And then 8.
My dad's dad broke his house.
The future value, so figure
So
out
would
the
I figure
interest
it
and
out
add it
just
to the,
add
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm walking the dog. And this is actually sad, but he slept on the ice, broke his head to his dog, and nobody found it. No way. So like, she's definitely out in the field.
Ethan, did you have numbers or question?
For number 4?
Yeah.
Suppose you have 2,150, say about the time to invest, 1,900 at 5.88 simple annual interest rate. How long in years would you invest in?
Okay, so you have the amount is equal to the principal plus the interest. So in your case, the interest was 250, right?
Oh, yeah, you said you were getting one.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, the formula for the interest is the principal times the rate times the time, which you want to find the time. So you know the interest is 250. You know the principal was 1900. The rate will be 0.058, and then t is what you're trying to solve for. So just divide the 250 by these numbers, and that will give you the time.
Those things are sneaky. I'm getting that should not be this. That's a lot. I'm getting.
I have a question on 5. I got mine wrong.
Okay.
600 RS.
What's your number 5?
Yeah, I got 2.26.
Is that rounded to the hundredths?
For your sleds, Untitled Chapter, they just normal.
The hundreds would be I got 2.268, but it'd be 2.27.
Yeah, 2.27. Yeah.
It says,
For up north, it's gonna rich.
are you ready?
Yeah.
If 8,000 is invested at a 5% simple annual rate interest, find the investment's future value in 8 years.
So
Did
just
you
calculate.
add it back to like the initial amount?
Yeah, that's what you got to do.
No.
That's what you have to do.
So I got 3,200, so I have to add that to the 8,000?
Yeah.
Okay,
They just left it.
thank you.
It'd be fun though, if it was just you over there. And you never have to be on the same trail twice. Yeah. I wish there was like more jumps.
I was looking at what he's looking at.
I heard.
Is that Star Wars?
I might want to. Do you have that up on Facebook, though? You're like. I'm just trying to do local. Once I couldn't be. For what, 5? Close friend, 45. Anyone else, 5. I bet you'll sell that. 45 bucks, that's nothing. What are you gonna do with that? Sell
You get a sweater.
Okay, for 6,
Mm-hmm.
mine is 7,000 is invested for 6 months at annual simple interest rate at 8%. So I did 7,000 times 0.08, and then I divided it by 2 because 6 months is like half a year, right? You would
Yeah.
think-
Yeah, that should work.
But it says like round to the nearest cent, but I don't have any cents. It's just 280.
Then 280 should be it.
What?
Do they want the interest or the amount?
It's asking for 2 parts. It says you will earn blank amount in interest,
So
and then
that
the
should be
second
the,
one is the future value, which I would just add that.
yeah,
So would 280 be the first one, and
Yeah.
then the second would be 7,280?
yeah.
The New York Knicks welcome to Bobby Schmidt at home.
Actually, when I was working, like something, I did
That's awesome.
He's gonna come out of jail and like, whoa, snitching school now?
He's already out of there.
I know, but like,
He didn't snitch. That's the reason why he just got out.
I know, but that was back, he went into jail when it was like 2013,
Oh.
snitching wasn't good, but now, like 6, 9, snitch never is true. So he's-
No one's okay with it.
I wouldn't do 60 years.
He gets your bond all over.
Mr. Tello, for 6, my numbers, I got confused on this one.
I don't know.
Okay,
So 5,000 is invested for 11 months at an annual simple interest of 15%.
15%?
Yes.
Yeah, that's weird.
So just do 11/12 of a year.
No, you're just.
5 steps to being bad.
Yeah, and then she'll.
You know, Finland, your flat bus, so many these Yes.
For number 8, I got it wrong.
What was that?
It says find,
The bad I see over there.
wait,
I get a little worried about saying, sitting in the shotgun in my car and saying nothing.
it says find the future value of a simple interest loan. So does that mean I add the,
On the way home, I would do. On the way there, you would.
I saw a woman.
She really,
There's 215. Yeah.
I finished.
All right, good. We'll let other people try to finish up for a couple minutes and then I'll go over the compound interest.
I was number 3.
And all of us were on.
Okay,
It's find the simple interest owed if 270 is borrowed at 3.8% for 4 years.
so that'll give you the interest, right?
Huh?
That should be the interest then. So that's 4104. Is that just what they asked for the interest?
It says find the simple interest owed if 270 is borrowed at 3.8%.
Yeah, that should be 41.04.
Yeah, that was right.
Awesome.
Oh my God, this video is.
Any other questions on the simple interest before I go over the compound? Shh, quiet, please. All right, I'm going to go over the compound interest, how to start on those questions. It is like the last one that we just did. It is like where the amount is equal to the principal plus the interest. Okay, so just as an example of what we did before with the interest was, well, we said the interest was the principal times the rate times the time. So if I put that into the amount formula like this, I can factor out the principal. And so you get 1 plus the rate times the time. So what I could have done, instead of saying, okay, 2,000 at 5% for 2 years, this would give me my interest, just the interest, not the original amount plus the interest. If I want the original amount, instead of saying 5%, I would say I want 105%. So putting a 1 here will give me, this is 1 plus 0.05. So I will get the original 2,000 back, and I will get the interest, which is 5% of 2,000. So that's, I can write it as 1.05 and sort of do it that way. What we're talking about now is compound interest. So you have an amount of money, and instead of saying, okay, I want to double that in a time period, maybe that's double. So this is times 2. That's like 100% interest. So that's a big amount, right? But now we're talking about compound interest. What if this interest, I have it for a year, but it compounds every half year, every 6 months? What would happen then is, instead of saying I want to double at the year mark, I would say, well, here's my original amount. I'm going to increase by 1.5, I'm going to do a 50% interest. And so I'll get a doubling I'll get an extra bit. And then I'm going to double that again. So I'm going to add this onto it. And so instead of a times 2, I have a times 1.5 twice. So 1.5 times 1.5, oops, is 2 1/4. So because I allowed this little bit to also earn interest itself, I ended up getting 1/4 more than if I just doubled it. So when your interest earns interest, we call that compound interest. And the formula for that, we have an amount formula. That's going to be your principal times 1, which represents 100% of your principal. You get your principal back, plus your annual rate, divided by however many compounding events you have. So if does it monthly, you'll have 12 compoundings in a year. If it's daily, you'd have 365 compoundings in a year. If it's quarterly, you would have 4 compoundings in a year. So if they say semi-annually, that usually means half of the year. So you'd have 2 events in a year. And then you take the number of compoundings times the number of years, and that's your formula now. So if you want to pull up one of the questions, we'll try a compound interest question, and I can show you how to use this formula.
Wait a minute.
Sure.
Okay, so it says you deposit $4,000 in an account earning 8% interest compound monthly.
Okay, so 0.08, and because it's compounding monthly, there'll be 12 events of compounding in the year.
Okay.
How many years?
And I said, how much will you have in the account in 15 years?
So it's not just 15 times. So when you exponentiate, like if I take squared, I'm multiplying twice.
Wait, so whatever you get for that bottom, you put it back on the top so they cancel out?
Yeah. So you're going to multiply by this factor, not just 15 times, but 12 times every year for 15 years. So 12 times 15. So that's going to be a lot more interest than if you just did simple interest. So you're going to have to figure this factor out first. So I'm going to take 1 plus 0.08 divided by 12.
I actually thought that was printed.
And that is 1.006666 repeating. And then I need to raise that to the power of, I'm going to use parentheses, 12 times 15, whatever that is. And I get 3.307-ish. So I'm going to multiply that by my principal, 4,000. And so at the end of that period, I would have in my account, this is the amount, 13,227 and 69 cents. So you have this formula, you always use this formula for compound interest. If this is an annual rate, you divide by how many compounding events per year.
So did you multiply 12 times 13?
Yeah,
You did?
yeah.
And then you took, where did you go with that?
So 12 times 15 is 180. So it's going to compound 180 times.
So you take what's in the parentheses times 180?
Yeah. Oh, no, raised to the 180 power. So like, I'll do an easy one. Let's say you invest $100 and you have it at an interest rate of 5%. And it happens every semi-annually. So it happens twice a year. It compounds. And let's say I have it in there for 3 years. So that means I'm going to have 6 compounding events. So what this really says is that I'm going to take 100 and I'm going to multiply it by, this would make 1.025. And I'm going to have 6 of those. I'm going to multiply by 1.025 6 times. And so that's what it means to raise to the 6th power.
Okay.
That's what
And then you take that and you multiply it by the 100?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would normally write it like an exponent. So 1.025 to the 6th. And that would come out to be,
Yeah, so like, my numbers are almost the same as hers, but my interest is 4%, and then my
rate divided by number of compoundings raised to the number of compoundings times the number of years.
okay.
What are your numbers then?
$4,000, 4% interest monthly, and how much you'll have in 5 years.
So I think 12 times 5 is 60. So you're going to multiply by this factor 60 times. 1 plus 0.04 divided by 12 gives me 1.003 repeating. Raised to the 60th times my principal. So if I just raise my 1.00333333, raise that to the 60th power and multiply by 4,000, I will get 4,883 and 99 cents.
I got it.
Nudie. You ready?
I'm not an idiot. No, I can try it.
You said you're not an idiot.
Well, I don't know anybody who turns
Is that good?
down Gatorade, so.
Yellow Gator is actually my least favorite, so I will have passed.
Full plus Gator.
No. We're chilling, more for us. Hello, Gatorade?
We poured it in a cup, so it's now COVID related. It's lemon lime.
I think he just has a problem with sharing with me in specific. Let's just tell us.
It's just, I have a question on number 2.
Okay.
Oh, no.
It's asking, to grow, like it's asking $5,000 to grow to $7,400.
Okay. 7,400.
Yeah.
And so what are they asking you to find?
Find the time required for an investment of $5,000 to go to $7,400 and interest rate of 7.5% per year compounded quarterly. Yes.
Okay, so this is,
So that's what, okay.
yeah, this one I'll have to explain quite a bit. So this is where we're going to use some new functions. Yeah, so yeah, this is something, this is kind of like a new thing that I don't think we've done a lot with in this class. All right, so this is how you solve when your variable is in an exponent. So you need a new thing to be able to solve for that. The first thing you want to do is get the power. Just to be clear, a power, like if I have 2 to the 5th, that makes 32. I can say that 32 is the 5th power of 2. Altogether, this is a power. The 5 is not the power. The 5 is the exponent. The 2 is the base. Altogether, they make a power. So when I have an exponent with the variable, I want to isolate the power, which is this thing to raise to some number. So I'm going to divide by 5,000 on both sides. And I'm going to get some sort of fraction here. I don't know if that works out to a nice fraction. It came out to 1.48.
Okay.
So that equals this thing. I'll figure out what this is inside here. 1 plus 0.075 divided by 4. So that came out to 1.01875. And that's now raised to the 4 times t power. And so here's the trick. Here's the new thing that you guys have to learn. You'll see on your calculators you have a log and a natural log. So on your calculator, shh, quiet guys. You'll see that you have a button on your calculator. Guys,
Yeah.
keep it down.
Oh, we're not talking, we're just laughing.
Yeah, keep it down.
We're being chill, man.
Keep it down. So you have a button on your calculator, one that says log, right?
Okay.
And you have one that says natural log, ln.
Yeah.
You can use either one of those, just be consistent, okay? As long as you do it both to the same side, the same thing to both sides, it doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do, I'll use natural log. I'm going to take the natural log of both sides. So I'm going to take natural log, ln, of 1.48. And I'm going to take the natural log of the other side, 1.01875 to the 4t power. Okay?
Yeah.
So I'm applying that function onto both sides of the equation.
This is severely confusing.
So natural log is kind of like a function. So like you can plug things into it. But when you apply the natural log, the nice thing about it is there's a rule that if you have inside of a natural log something raised to a power, you can take that power and bring it down in front as just multiplying the log. So I'll now have natural log of 1.48 equals 4 times t times natural log of 1.01875. So I could bring the power down in front. So now all I have to do to solve for t is take this over here and divide by 4 and then divide by this log too. So t is now natural log of 1.48. Sometimes they don't write the parentheses, but I will. And divide by 4 and divide by natural log of 1.01875. These are just numbers. They're irrational numbers, but that would give it to you. So if I put that in, I'm going to take natural log of 1.48 divided by 4 divided by natural log of 1.01875. And that gives me 5.27. How much do they want that? Does it say like round to the hundredths or page? Does it say like round to the nearest tenth of year or something?
No.
So
It says your answer is t equals years.
So I'm getting 5.27608, so probably something like that would, as long as you get close.
No, I'm not a good poster child.
You really should.
Okay.
Are there, oh my gosh, are all these questions like that?
Not all of them. Some you just plug in. If they ask for the time, then yeah.
Just like, oh yeah, you got to the office.
Number 3, just like, first one?
I'm not sure. Does it just ask for the amount or the,
Just find the final amount of money in an account
yeah.
if 8,300 is deposited at 8%. Interest compounded quarterly.
On how
And,
much?
but in parentheses it says every 3 months.
So yeah, in 12 months, you'll have 4 compounding events.
Okay. And the money is left for 5 years.
So that means, 20 goes up here.
Yep.
So you just take this times that number raised to the 20th. So that is 1.02 raised to the 20th, which is
I'll do it.
The waste rate thing kind of came like at the end.
I don't know how to.
This guy?
I got 12,333.36.
yeah.
When I did like the formula, I plugged in my numbers.
Yeah.
So like when you try to figure out like the exponent like up in the corner, like
When you're solving for that.
so would it be 4 if it was quarterly?
So are you trying to find the time?
I need to find the final amount.
Okay. Do you want to give me your numbers then?
Yeah, you did, yeah.
Final amount in an account. If $2,200 is deposited at 4% interest compounded quarterly, and the money is left for 6 years.
So you do 4 times 6, so there'll be 24 compounding events in 6 years.
Yeah.
So that should be
used to do. You're able to sit. Yeah.
That's what I got.
I tried.
See if you can get the same thing.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
That day.
So in this method, if they ask for how much did you make in interest, you would calculate the final amount and subtract the principal. So in this case, it'd be
If
593.42,
it's compounded weekly, what would that be?
52 weeks in a year. So
So
You were
52.
gonna actually.
yeah, divide by 52 on the rate, and then multiply the number of years by 52. Does it give you years or weeks?
It gives you 7 years.
So yeah, 7 times 52.
So would 7 go on the bottom of the fraction, or would 52?
52 would go on the bottom of the fraction. And then it would also get multiplied by the 7 up in the
Yeah.
exponent.
This is all off the seed.
Just tell them that, please just rush them.
Yes.
Stood up, looked up.
So for the exponent,
Talk like another 15 minutes.
are we supposed to do it, like, what's supposed to be times our years?
For the, what's your question?
Find the final amount if $4,200 is deposited at 7% interest compounded weekly, and the money left is, then the money's left for 9 years.
So there's 52 weeks in a year.
So the bottom, okay.
It was the worst thing in my life. I was so yeah. She was probably like watching it like in my I never could have gone. It's an easier than like I think like house. I had one interview. The day we came no homework, no teacher assignment, just slept in this museum office. I remember I got one. Really one of the least questions that I get worse yeah, that's the stuff that
I'm already talking, and I know
I didn't do that. That's the
but it's you did everything for yourself. I'll do it.
I'm getting your boyfriend, right? I don't know what the worst situation is, I mean, I'm lucky to have her, but you show me a video like every day. You show me a video every day, dude. Look at the last one. It's so funny.
so funny.
For number 5, how would you like to do that? Or
So in that one,
I'm on this train for a while.
you're not going to know the principal. but you are going to know the amount. So you're going to get this number, and you're going to divide the amounts by whatever you have here. So a clever way that you can do that, dividing by a power is the same as multiplying by the power with a negative exponent. So you could do this. Oops.
Paige was in there, right? Paige. I remember one time you guys both got drug tested, and I put it in my mouth, and I was like, yeah.
Oh my God, she thought you,
She like freaked out on me, and I was like,
she thought you were like trying to like,
get out of it.
she was like, you need to keep it in your mouth, because you kept like taking it out.
So I was like,
She was like, you need to keep it in your mouth.
she's like, that's what people do at other game calls.
Yeah.
Shut up.
That's why she literally said that. She goes, that's what people do when they try to like, get out of it. So you probably will fail. I don't like
I was
that.
like, I know.
7:30. It's like 9 a.m. You don't know who else is in my group.
All. Everybody.
The one time, I remember the one time we got it, Williams comes up, the soap. It came back negative all of the, he looked like Jim Marshall. And then took this soap out of the bathroom dispenser and started rubbing his mouth all over his cup. I'm like, oh, yes.
Not really.
Eli, watch your mouth.
I don't forget how to get in the head.
For which
I
one?
feel like I did everything right, but you were there.
So the principal equals the amount divided by all that. You could do it the same. Dividing is the same as having a negative exponent on the power. You could do it that way.
What time do you work?
4 to 8. It's not right.
Yeah, what do you have to do for golf?
So I got when the alarm door was being yelled at me. I was like, oops. I was like, okay. Went in, did not see it. So then I went in. And she's like, okay, you have a house now. So I'm in the system. They didn't show me what the kitchen is, they didn't show me what the room is. I think it's really the people were fucking. Yeah, but she's like, if you need to, you can do it right now. No, I'm sorry, I can't look at her. She's like, no.
Just send the screenplay.
You can't mess up old people's juice.
Yeah.
This one. I have it set up, but I don't know. Help me with, and I don't get that part inside the parentheses.
So it's 2.5% compounded weekly for 7 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just do 1 plus 0.025.
But okay, I did that, but it came out to like a.
Then I kind of just leave it, and then I raise it to, and then I use parentheses and I do 52 times 7.
Okay.
And then I get the long decimal.
Okay.
And then I multiply 800. So then I get 952.96.
I'm just gonna write that down. I just didn't know because I was like confused when I got like the. Okay. Yeah, I just didn't know because I got like that weird like decimal and I was like.
Yeah, I leave it in my calculator. I
then
get
just-
that resolved. I raise it to the power. Then you get another weird decimal.
Okay.
Then multiply. And then you can round it to cents.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cody.
and that girl.
Is it your actual dad?
Yes. It's the same situation. He said he wasn't arrested.
He said so.
It's up and different.
No, there was like. Can you help me?
I didn't know that.
It says, how much would you need to deposit in an account in order to have 6,000 in an account in 10 years? Assume the account earns 5% interest compound monthly.
So if you see what I have up here, this is the formula we've been using where the future value is here. If you're trying to find the principal, that would give you a certain future value. You would have to divide this thing on both sides. So the principal will equal the final amount divided by that factor. Dividing by this factor, though, with the positive exponent is really the same as multiplying it by the same thing with a negative version of the exponent. So you can do it either way, whichever way you feel more comfortable with. You can either just say the final amount divided by all this, or once you figure out this middle number, you could raise it to the negative version of the exponent. That's the same as dividing.
So on the top, I'm gonna go with like the fraction one.
Okay,
So like on the top would be 6,000.
is that the final amount?
It's asking how much would you need to deposit in order to have 6,000.
Yeah, okay.
And then, so 6,000 over,
Our dad's
it says in 10, okay, so 1 plus, it's like 5%.
Touch me.
So on top would be,
Years
yeah.
ago.
No one.
In 10 years.
So how often does it come?
Compounds monthly.
Monthly?
Yep.
So 12 times 10 is 120. All right, so what I would probably do is
Is the bottom?
I would do the bottom first. So I would do the 1 plus 0.05 divided by 12. Then you get the decimal inside the parentheses.
Okay.
Raise that to 120. And then get that decimal. And then on your calculator, you should have, let me see your calculator. You should have an inverse button.
Oh, no, trust me, you didn't know my dad.
You guys do that whole thing. Okay, so
Situation.
1 plus.
0.05.
Go to you later for a picture of me.
No.
I'll just tell you.
One more half.
Okay, what is there then? What is our name start with?
And that's all I wanted to list.
What is those?
Yeah, well,
It
always.
could be any.
That's what I wanted.
What does our name start with?
Just want a mugshot.
That's what I said. What does our name start with?
No, it's the first one,
And then, yeah,
and then 6,000.
This one came up. This Charlie, I'm helping her. Can you help me?
for what?
Okay.
Tyler.
For what?
Alright, so yeah, I might put this.
Trevor?
Yeah, no. So we're putting his mugshot on.
When was your?
Yeah, and then we're trying to do 1 plus.
Oh, I need to do that.
And then 0.04.
That's the brother. You're the brother.
How many compounds?
Take Martell's.
Annually? So it's- oh yeah, you don't even need the bottom number. There's just one. You have one a year. Yeah, that's fine. And then close parentheses, raise it to the 15 years.
It's fine, but here. Oh, that's
15 years. Yeah, that's it.
You know what? I'm going to be interesting, because that's an NFL draft this week. Trevor Lawrence. I hate that.
Thank you.
What?
What brothers do you have? If it doesn't ask to round, but there's a lot of decimals, what do I do?
Tony hates everything.
If it's a final amount, I would round it to 2 decimals because it's cents. Like,
Okay.
no one's gonna charge you for fractions of a penny.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't really.
See, most people take the cap off, spin the bottom, and apply it to their lips.
Charlie Ball.